It's my old mortgage holder, Greg, from RanLife.
Howdy.
And also with Greg is Mike Carter. Michael Carter is the real estate side of RanLife, which we've never really talked that much about. I knew it existed, but we haven't and I haven't had need of a real estate agent for over 20 years. So, but is it a good time, Greg, to start to be looking around for stuff?
Yeah, I think it is. Over the years, I've always said it's a good time. But I think right now there's some economic pressures that are changing that could cause some value back in the market. A lot of people think that the current policy will change and rates will go down. So that's positive, but that's pretty negative for a buying experience when you're talking about price. Mm-hmm. So I brought you a couple stats today if you want to.
Sure.
Give us some stats.
Stat us up, man.
I like stats. People make fun of me for that. But so if you look at the FHA delinquency rate, and I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Nothing really spooky except for the comparison that we have to 2006. FHA, it has gone up about 25% in delinquency over the last year. And if you look at, December of 2006 was a wonderful year. It was kind of crazy. But the subprime mortgages had about a delinquency rate of about 14%. Mm-hmm. FHA has a higher stake in the market than subprimes did then, and they're about 15%. So year over year, they're up 25, close to 30%, and we're going to start seeing.
So there are people that got to get out of their mortgage.
Yeah. So
what does that mean to me?
Yeah.
Well, it just means there may be opportunities for buyers when it comes to.
You have motivated sellers.
Yeah. So let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, in the last couple of years, people bought a lot of house. There's some people in those numbers that are needing to do what's called they're underwater, or they don't know if they're underwater, but they think they might be, and they need to do what's called a short sell. So basically, you're selling the home for less than the value, less than your mortgage. And what's interesting is that you really need a good real estate agent that understands the process. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time an agent tells me they understand this process, I'd have I hate that quote, that cliche, because I'd have a lot of nickels, but it still wouldn't buy me a cup of coffee.
Mike, do you have a lot of people who do that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people claim to be short sale experts.
Yeah.
They claim to know the process.
I don't understand why you would sell your house because you got to get out of it, and you end up selling it for less than what the mortgage is. How do you make up the difference?
So your servicer, and I'm a servicer, we service a lot of loans in Utah, has to approve the process, and they have to use FHA's rules. And we're only talking about FHA because they're the most exposed right now. And they have an entire process. And why Mike is so good at this, and our real estate firm is so good, is they understand the process because they're connected to me servicing. Mm-hmm. FHA has an entire process. It's really better if you hit it early, and I can let Mike talk about that. But and if you don't do it right, you're just going to be scrambling to figure it out, and you're going to be frustrated. And if you have a buyer, they're going to be frustrated.
Well, it's somebody has to pick up the difference, right, Mike?
Yeah, no, and the way that it works though, and if I can kind of piggyback a little bit off like what Greg said, but also compliment Greg. One thing that's so cool about RanLife Home Loans and RanLife Real Estate is being able to work so closely with Greg to figure out what Greg has been able to teach me over the years is how to become an expert in listing and helping people buy short sales. So when, with people that are affected by this, as Greg kind of puts it, and, our broker has put it, learning to be Tom Brady, learning to be the quarterback, right? And to lead and help buyers and sellers understand the process.
Because these things happen fast. These happen faster than a straight ahead transaction.
Well, my first short sale I ever bought, I put an offer in, and I forgot about it. And 90 days later, the bank came back and said, "Yeah, we'll sell it to you." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." Things are a lot more efficient now. The process is still complicated, but if that's why you have to know. And so, and that's why if you're underwater on your home, or you think you're underwater on your home, you got to get with someone like Mike. I mean, just any agent out there is not going to know the process. The process is the same no matter what lender. It doesn't have to be a RanLife home loans deal. It could be, Wells Fargo or whoever. And the process needs to be taken right at the start. And once everybody's on the same page, we know what to expect. And now you have a buyer that's not going to yell at you.
Well, it also takes negotiating and things like with the bank, I think is kind of like what Greg is also kind of getting at, right? Is there's a process that, if you're potentially behind on your mortgage or things like that, letting whoever's servicing the bank, like Greg said, either RanLife, Wells Fargo, any of these other places know that, hey, I may be behind, or I need to, figure out what I can do. The quicker that you're able to kind of get ahead of that, the better off you're actually going to be. And a lot of people don't kind of realize that. They just, some people just stew and don't know what I need to do.
Go.
Yeah, and I mean that's where it gets worse, and you possibly go from a short sale and then go into foreclosure.
Why do I get five? We got to wrap it up here. Why do I get five a month? Probably 5 letters in the mail from somebody who wants to buy my house. Why do I get that?
Yeah, they usually want to buy it for a discount, and but bottom line is if you're buying a short sale, just because the seller thinks they know what they're doing, like it can be very tough.
So you need Mike.
You need Mike.
Yeah,
the buyers and the sellers.
How do people get a hold of Mike?
It's our 800 number, or actually 801-478-4888. Is that right? Can you guys look it up?
Just go to ranlife.com.
Ranlife.com.
And there's a real estate side and a mortgage side.
Right.
And say you want to talk to Michael Carter. All right. I'm sorry we're out of time.
No,
all right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
RanLife. We'll